Hi, my name's Lloyd Cato of Otac Bulldogs. Some of you know me, some of you know the face, but not everyone recognises me because obviously most of the time it's my dogs that you are seeing. They are the stars, they are the ones it's all about. I'm doing this video today for you guys because on my Instagram page it was asked me a question and several of you actually asked me a question. So it gives me an opportunity to give you some feedback and get back to you and answer some of the questions that you guys want to know.
So the first question is, what was your plan when you started?
Oh, when I originally started, I started with my first American Bulldog, which was Otac's Judge. And the reason why I got the dog, I will always, in my family, we had protection dogs, guard dogs, protection dogs, dogs that could do the job, basically. Previously, I owned American Pit Bulls, Staffordshire Bull Terriers, Rottweilers, and various other breeds. But before I got my American Bulldog, I had a German Shepherd, which was a fantastic working dog, good lines, and he did the job that I wanted. But unfortunately, the herder type wasn't the type of breed that I really wanted. I always liked bull breeds, which is why I had American Pit Bulls and Staffordshire Bull Terriers. Unfortunately, the bull breeds I had, the American, the Pit Bull and the Staff, weren't big enough to be a good imposing man stopper, and they also didn't have the great temperament that was required for me to be a good working dog as a personal guard dog. They were overly men friendly and didn't have that natural aggression and tenacity that I was looking for in a breed. So when I did eventually get an American Bulldog, I went back to bull breeds after having a German Shepherd. I ended up getting an American Bulldog. And there wasn't any significant plan for me to go into any breeding or go into shows and going to working competitions or doing any sports with a dog. It was initially just to have a good working dog. I mean, I was a bit of a rude boy at the time when I was a lot younger, and I needed a dog that could really do the job. So it wasn't about having anything that would play about. I needed a serious dog. So initially there was no plan. But what eventually happened, because my dog Judd was not only a working dog, a personal protection dog, I did some security work with him as well. Members of my family loved the dog. He was also a great, fantastic family dog, and I come from a large family. So it was my other brothers that decided, you know what, they would like to have an American Bulldog as well. They thought they want something like Judge, because to be honest, I don't know if I would, when I went to get Judge, I was quite lucky, but I was into testing out dogs, because in the past I've had dogs that failed, didn't do the job, and I had to get rid of them. So when I invested in American Bulldog, I did a little bit of research before I bought the dog, so I was stacking up in my favour to get a good dog. So when basically Judge was such an impression on my whole family, a few of my brothers said, you know what, let's go into the breed. And they just said, you know what, let's get a few females and see if we can produce something like Judge. And that's where it kicked off. We got a few females, and some of them didn't work out. We had to cull them, and that's how it goes. If they weren't up to the scratch, they weren't up to the scratch. We had a few others, and then we bred Judge, and then that's, I suppose, that's history in the making. The rest is where we started off. My brothers got me involved in the breeding side of things, and that's where I took the line from there, really.
Where is Otac Bulldogs based?
Generally, we are based in the UK. We have most of our dogs are based with family members and close friends who own our dogs, and we are based mostly in London, but also in Birmingham, Midlands, and a few of our dogs up north. But personally, I'm in Jamaica, as you can see. I don't know if you can see the great background I'm in a lovely country, which is where we're originally from, Jamaica. And my dad used to have dogs out here in Jamaica, and he used to hunt hogs. And yeah, in the sun, it's winter, but I know it's not that warm in the UK, but over here it's lovely. I wish you could come and join me, but maybe another time.
Why did you choose American Bulldog over other large breeds?
Chose the American Bulldog. Like I previously said, I owned American Pit Bulls and Staffordshire Bull Terriers before, and I always had a thing for bull breeds. Like I said, the Staffordshire Bull Terriers and Pit Bulls never really worked out for me. So when I went through having Rottweilers and German Shepherds, that actually ticked the boxes for me. Really, I really liked them, but there was something lacking about those breeds that I didn't fulfill for me, and I decided I was going to try a bull breed. I looked into other breeds such as cane coursers, pressers, and for me, there was something about them that didn't connect. And for various different reasons, I decided that that breed wasn't for me, and I decided to give an American Bulldog a try. And fortunately, the first American Bulldog I owned was Judge, and he was a phenomenal animal, no matter what breed of dog he was. I mean, from a pup, I could tell he had a lot of qualities about him, and he grew up to be an immense dog, and now he's a legend for our line. He's a cornerstone of Otac Bulldogs, and he is in all our dogs. Every dog that we have produced and have Otac Judge in the bloodline, maybe once, twice, and up to 6 times in their pedigree. So he is absolutely been awesome for us, and that was the main reason why I chose an American Bulldog, and I've stuck with the breed because they have definitely worked out for us, and we've had so much success over the years with the breed, not just for ourselves but for many other people in different countries around the world who own Otac Bulldogs, and they've seen the quality of the breed and the dogs that we produce for them, and that's why we've stuck with the breed.
Are your dogs Scott, Johnson, or hybrids?
Right, that's an interesting question. The reason why I say it's an interesting question, because there's a lot of misconceptions about American Bulldogs being either Scott or Johnson. A lot of people assume American Bulldogs fall into 2 lines, whether they are Scott or Johnson, which is quite incorrect. Scott and Johnson aren't a type of Bulldog, they are actually a bloodline. Like Heinz is a bloodline, Painter is a bloodline, Otac Bulldogs is a bloodline, Scott is a bloodline, Johnson is a bloodline. And basically, if the dog hasn't come directly from Scott's kennel or Johnson's kennel, they are not a type of Bulldog. They are a bloodline. The 2 types of Bulldogs that actually exist are a standard type and a bully type. Some people call the bully the classic type. Standard or bully, they fall into either one type or the other. My type generally are the standard type American
Do you
Bulldog.
breed, and how much is a stud? Also, Repo cross Frozen Rain, when will that breeding be happening?
Yes, I'm a breeder, and I mean we do not breed every year, as most of you know, but we do have breeding from time to time, and we do have puppies available. Do we have studs available? Yes, we do. And the cost will depend on which dog you're going to use, and our studs are only going to be used for suitable females. So it will be best you get in touch with me directly through either DM, and I'll let you know. We can discuss what options are there for our stud dogs. In relation to breeding Repo and Frozen Rain, that breeding is very unlikely to take place. They're both great specimens. Repo, as some of you may know, is a an established sport dogs who has been doing IPO with his owner for some time, and he has a Shutshan 2 title. And Frozen Rain, one of our youngest bitches, she's been turning out quite fine. She's fantastic condition and shape. We be hoping to breed her sometime, and keep your eyes open, and we'll let you know which male we're going to be using with her. So you'll have to get back to us on that one. But we're looking to breed Frozen Rain next year, early next year.
What is the type of temperament do you strive to produce with your dogs?
Well, as most of you know, I like a working dog. So therefore, I want to produce, and have been producing, the dog with a working type of mentality. But first and foremost, the most important thing, I want a stable temperament, stable nerve dog with a good solid temperament, which is balance. When I say balance, I want a dog that is not overly going to be aggressive, not overly submissive, and something that's not going to be overly difficult to handle, and not something that's just going to be a wash. I want something that, on a whole, that is going to be pliable. Saying that, I do have some specific breedings which I expect to be on the higher end and more geared towards a higher working handler, somebody who's going to be experienced. And I have other breedings which are going to be somewhere more in the middle. So it really depends on the type of breeding I'm going to do. But as a whole, I want to have a solid, stable temperament on my dogs with a working characteristics. An owner gets one of these puppies, they have the ability to shape and mold that dog into a more character that they'll like that dog to be. Say for instance, you get one person that can get dog A, and that person is looking for a dog to be quite a serious, natural guardian and protection dog, and maybe do security work with that dog. That person can get that dog and shape it, because the natural qualities of that dog will be there. The natural genetics are there, and they can mold that dog into being like that. But at the same time, that dog will be always stable enough around the family and secure enough to be stable. But another person could still get that same puppy, and they're looking for just an active dog that's going to be a family dog. But as long as they put the right type of mechanisms in place to exercise the dog regularly, give it good diet, give it enough good conditioning, training and obedience, and they get the dog out, that dog can have a certain lifestyle to suit that home as well.
How are your dogs in the home, and do they have an off switch?
Leading on from the other question about temperament, I would say my dogs do well in the home or in the kennel, and for me it's about how that dog has been raised more so than how the individual dogs are. So if you get a dog and you know how to build up a routine, they have their exercise at certain times, they know when they're going to be fed, they know where their place in the home is, whether it's a crate or a bed in the house, and you put the proper routines in place, obedience in place, the dog should be fine in the home. In regards to do they have an off switch, yes, my American Bulldogs generally do have a good off switch and can be suitable in the home. Some of our dogs that we produce are living inside the home while others are outside. We've got dogs that are in the security dog industry and are high drive dogs, but they also are adjustable to live within the home. So it's about putting the right routines in place, right boundaries in place for those dogs, and knowing how to operate them within your household and lifestyle. And that's what it means by having a balanced dog that you can live and work with.
What's your proudest achievement to date with your dogs?
Proudest achievements? Personally, you know what? Just owning my first American Bulldog. That was a really proud moment. I was really happy to have the first American Bulldog, and then when we had our first litter of American Bulldogs, that was another great moment. You know, but um, I wouldn't say there's one defining proudest moment. There's dogs that have done well in different avenues, and I can be really proud of them. But one of the things that really touched me was hearing from an owner of an American Bulldog pup that said that their home was getting burgled, and while they were in the house, and their dog defended their home, didn't actually get the person, but it defended their home, and they felt so secure to know that they've got a dog that's safe in their home, and they feel more safe to know that they've got a protection dog in their home and more secure. Just to know that they felt good about having a dog, and they told me how proud they were about their dog. It made me feel proud. So stories like that. I mean, there's other stories where other Otac Bulldogs have protected their owners and actually have done live bites, and I think that in itself are some of the proud moments when you know that a dog that you've bred to be a specific way is doing what it was bred to do.
What separates your American Bulldogs from other kennels?
That's a tough question. That is a tough question because I couldn't honestly say that I've visited or know exactly how all other kennel American Bulldogs are. I mean, I focused on my own program and what I am breeding for my own dogs, and the qualities I'm looking for, the things I test for, the type of stuff I select for and breed for. As over for so many generations, I've selected my dogs to be the way they are today. Whether it is the type of look that I like a strong dog with good bone, but athletic with a good size, nice muzzle, and have the athleticism still to carry off a good size, and also have the temperament which I've spoken about earlier, and the willingness to please. That's what I like about my dogs. I cannot exactly say how other people's dogs are or other kennels are in comparison. I don't think we all breed on the same qualities. What I do know is that the most important thing about any kennel is the person behind the kennel, because they're the ones who make the judgment calls and put the breedings together and select the stock that they're going to breed with. That is the most crucial part. And because I know about myself and I got my own self to judge my dogs on, I don't really care what other people are really doing or doing with their stuff. I need to focus on what I produce. And if my stuff ain't meeting a certain criteria, they don't get used into the program. So that's what it's all about for me. Putting the dogs that I believe work together and putting the right combinations together, not necessarily putting the most popular dogs into the breeding program. So I get a lot of people wanting me to use certain dogs in my program and certain breedings. However, if that bitch isn't right for that male, I don't put them together. I like to put the right dogs together for my mix, and I think that's what separates me and my kennel from I don't know who else is doing what.
Do you consider American Bulldogs more suited as personal protection dogs or natural guardians?
Wow. As a breed, as a whole, I would say, in short, I would say they're more suitable as personal protection dogs, because most American Bulldogs are quite suitable to go in most environments, and you can take them in most places, and they're quite trainable. I mean, there's various different lines with any breed, and I would say that it really comes down to what one particular line is breeding for. Because with the American Bulldogs, you obviously got the hog hunting lines, and you got some of the show stuff, and then you got those that are more geared towards man work. And I think over the years, many American Bulldogs have done well doing protection sports, and I think they've got good ability to work on command and work with the handler as a personal protection dog. Working away from a handler, not all of them are so good as being good guardians and working a property or a yard on their own. I would like to say that my General Bulldogs are bred to have that balance when they are suitable to go and work on their own, protecting a yard, a property on their own as guardians, natural guardian instincts, because that's a quality I breed for. Plus, the general, if you want to take them down the personal protection route, they have that ability as well. They've got the qualities to do that sort of thing.
How versatile is the American Bulldog as a working dog?
As I've touched on before, like you got many American Bulldogs as a breed that are doing sports, whether it's IPO, PSA, and various protection sports. They're also good at dock diving. They enjoy hog hunting. You got those that have been successful in weight pulling, and there even some American Bulldogs that are farm utility dogs and just general fun, active dogs, fun sport dogs doing various sporting activities. So as a breed as a whole, they are quite versatile, and I think that comes down to the various different breeds that came in to actually create the breed, plus the different avenues, different kennels had in terms of where they wanted to work their dogs in. Like I said, some of them went into weight pulling, and you got the breed that goes into weight pulling. Obviously, the hog hunting dogs. So there are various different traits that have created American Bulldog to be quite versatile. So yes, they are suitable dogs, and you can find certain lines that might be geared to one thing over the next. It's no point getting a American Bulldog that you want to be a personal protection dog and you're going to weight pulling lines. I'm not saying it can't work, but I would go for lines that have success in a protection dog.
Are there any Doggo, Argentino, or other breeds added to your line, or would you add any other breeds?
I've actually been asked this question a few times, because when you look at my American Bulldogs, they do have a good height and athletic frame, and the type of head that they are, especially the all-white American Bulldogs, some of them that we produce, they have a certain type of box-shaped muzzle. And people ask me, do I have an Argentino blood in my Bulldogs? And the answer to that, in short, is no. We do not have any Argentino dogs in my Bulldogs, and I don't have any other breed included in my breed. We've been breeding my dogs for several generations, and all my dogs are related, and they all go back to Otac's Judge. And if you look on his stamp, you can see that genetics have come through from him into my current stock. And when it regards to any other breeds, no, I wouldn't include them. I don't think it's necessary to include any other breeds in my American Bulldog, because for me, there's several different blood lines out there already, and there's various different types of American Bulldogs out there. And if I think there's a certain quality or a type of look or something that I need to include in my dogs, I'm sure I could find it with the amount of Bulldogs that are available to me nationwide, worldwide, because these days you can get frozen semen from around the world. So I don't think it's necessary to add any other breeds into the breed.
What is the most common weakness in the modern American Bulldog?
These days, let me think about it. Previously, I would say it used to be related to the health of the dogs. They used to really suffer with hip dysplasia, especially the bully type, and that. But I would say the biggest issue that's facing today, I would say that the temperament, weakness, nervousness is affecting the breed, especially when you hear when you speak to people around the different countries and in different forums.
How different is the defense drive of American Bulldogs versus an American Pit Bull?
Well, I've owned a couple of pit bulls myself over the years, and in terms of defense drive, you do get a few pit bull terriers that actually are man aggressive and do have a defensive drive about them. However, I wouldn't say it's a natural occurrence for the breed. And from my experience with the American Pit Bull and from some of the people I know, the general Pit Bull do not make good guard dogs. I'm not saying they all are, I'm saying in general terms, because most of them are very happy to go off with most people, and they're quite friendly with strangers. The experience I have in regards to American Bulldogs, I'll say some of them have got a good balance where they can discern against a friend and a foe, and a defensiveness is there within them, which is, I think, is a stronger characteristic within American Bulldog versus a Pit Bull, in short.
How do you manage to keep your dogs looking in such good condition?
I would say the dogs look a certain way for a number of reasons, partly genetics, diet, and exercise. You know, I could possibly do a little talk about conditioning and exercise in more depth at another time, but I think it's always important to make sure the dogs are hydrated, always well hydrated, and you feed them a good diet. But one of the things we always give our dogs is, to add to all of that, is some natural supplements, just natural supplements, not necessarily giving them all those chemical supplements that are out on the market, but in relation to some of the supplements we give our dogs, I'm going to possibly give more information about that and perhaps make it more available to the general public. So keep your eyes open on that one.
What is your long-term plans and goals?
My long-term plans and goals. Well, I've been speaking and working with a few different people in different places who either have American Bulldogs or are wanting to own American Bulldogs. I'm looking to perhaps work with them and guide them and mentor them in relation to building up their program, building up their stock, and guiding them in terms of selecting and breeding, and working on helping them produce good quality bulldogs for themselves and for other people. So those are one of the main things I'm trying to do now. It's not just produce good dogs that we're producing, but help others to do the same thing, basically. Working on other people to produce good American Bulldogs. As I'm coming to the end, I think that's the end of the questions for now, and I really hope that you all had a great Christmas, and I hope you have a fantastic 2022. Please like, share, and subscribe to our channel. Thanks a lot.